Hello everyone, it is Reggie here, or formerly known as Effie, and today I want to talk about a weapon that is severely probably one of the, or as subjected as the worst weapon in Splatoon history, at least as of right now. It has been a while. It's been approximately about 8 to 9 months, maybe 10, as of when this video releases, as it is the 1st of August today. And I have just been busy with life for a long time and not really having that much confidence or motivation to make videos, but I digress from that topic. Today we're going to be talking about Undercover Brella and why it is so weak, at least in my straight opinion. There will be a bit of personal bias towards this weapon that I have, and some of it positive, some of it also negative, but for the most part I'm going to be trying to use the great amount of knowledge I have Splatoon, or at least the knowledge I have of this weapon in general, and knowledge I've gained from other videos such as ProChar and other people who have made videos about Undercover Brella. So yeah, this might one day become a mainstay video, which actually has actual editing, but for the most part I wanted to make this as a VOD because it would be much more easier to get the audio from it, maybe even more easier in general to tamper with. So let's talk about Undercover Brella, or in general, let's start off the discussion of this of the worst weapon in Splatoon by talking about the Brella class in general. So the Brella class, as of now, is the worst class in Splatoon 3, or the worst class in Splatoon in general, and this can be for a multitude of reasons. The Brella class right now, especially normal Brella, has a lot of weaknesses that are stronger than its strengths. It has very inconsistent damage. It has a lot of ink consumption. Very ink-hungry weapon. The Brella shield doesn't really work that often. In fact, there are many clips people show on Twitter and even on some YouTube videos of getting shot through the Brella. Weapon really lacks a lot of power in general. The 2v1 mechanics it's supposed to have to initiate fights can't even be initiated most of the time, because once again this weapon really dies most of the time before he even is able to initiate a fight. This thing struggles in 1v1s most of the time. If you're good enough with the weapon to know how to aim at it and get a consistent 2-shot, maybe 2 to 3 shot, then most of the time 1v1s aren't that bad with the weapon. Undercover is going to have an issue with this, and I'll talk about that a bit later, but all you really need to know about Brella right now is that a lot of the time, before it can really do anything, especially when it comes to trying to outlive most of the stuff in this game, especially because of the map design, this weapon class in general, besides Tint, struggles a lot in Splatoon. It struggles a lot in this game because it's a very weak weapon class that doesn't really have the strengths to make it work using other weapons. And speaking of other weapons, AoE weapons also outclass Brella very well, mostly because the outside radius counts as a hit. For the most part, Brellas can't deal with this if they're good enough, but most of the time, they can get shot, once again, they can get shot through the canopy. And this was most noticeable with Machine, because most of the time the machine shot can go straight through the Brella canopy, which is just very bad. I don't understand why Brella has this issue, but it does, and it's just really tainting and really bad for Brella in general. So now getting into Undercover Brella. Undercover Brella is basically a Brella, but it's the worst one out of the entire trio, and I mean that seriously. This thing does the least amount of damage out of all 3 Brellas, making this damage even more inconsistent and weak. This thing at most times can be a 4 to 5 shot. The Brella canopy is extremely weak. If I can show it here, let me actually go to the robot and turn it on and actually show you guys. That is very bad. Most of the time this thing gets killed in 1v1s than it does 2v1s, and it can't even initiate 2v1s most of the time unless it's good enough to stay alive, which most of the time, even then, this thing gets killed before you can win a 1v1 or even put damage on someone. And the kit it has doesn't really help its fighting capabilities either. Reach Slider gets cancelled very easily and get punished very easily. You're only going, it's way better than Splash Down, to say that. because it can be detonated very easily, and it is, I believe, 180p, if I'm correct. Yes, it is 180p, which means it can get reslettered sometimes, like very mediocrely. It can paint for its special, but resletter doesn't really do much for this weapon, because once again, this is not a weapon that is good at fighting or going in. So most of the time it will reslide in, explode, try to fight somebody, and unless the damage hit for 60, it can either get 1 kill and die, like as you see there. It can get 1 kill and die, or it straight up gets no value whatsoever, and it just dies instantly. So Undercover's buff combined with its weak with the main weapon weaknesses and the kit it has makes it extremely weak. Ink Mine does nothing for it that often, or doesn't really do much for it. Doesn't really do that much for the weapon either, because its weak damage doesn't really help with Ink Mine's shipping damage. Doesn't do a lot for it, because once again damage is inconsistent. And in fact, this thing takes a good amount of your ink anyway, so you're not really going to be using it that often. It's not really useful for the weapon. What's sad about this is that Undercover had a kit that was good for it, and in fact, I believe it's what made it a good high tier back in the early days of Splatoon 2. So for those who haven't played Splatoon 2, or most of the people who don't really play broadcast in general, Splatoon 2, Undercover had a Kenza kit, and its kit was Torpedo, which is one of the best subs in the game at poking people and chipping people for a good amount of damage, and Ink Armor, which was once again one of the best specials in the game, would keep people alive and would make fighting a lot more easier. And I believe the special points that it had was 190, or it was 180 before the nerfs, which made it kind of mid tier. This thing could comfortably poke people with Torpedo and get Ink Armors enough times to be considered a good skirmisher weapon. And that's why Undercover had worked, because it was a support kit, not an aggressive kit. I don't know why. This is my main issue with Undercover. I do not know why Nintendo made a weapon like this, especially in the Brella class, one of the weakest weapons in the game, gave it no main weapon buffs, and decided to give it an aggressive kit not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row in this game. They did it with the Vanilla kit in Splatoon 2, they did it with the Sorella kit, and now they did it in this game, which just does not add up with me. It is very odd. I don't know why they did this. And if Sorella Undercover gets a better kit than this thing, I will not be surprised, because at that point, this thing just has no use for it. I'm not sure if they'll ever buff this thing, and it is very worrisome to me. Do I think there's hope for it? Yes. I do think they can buff this weapon once again, increasing negative damage by 10 points, maybe 5, instead of going 40, maybe make it do the max of 45 to 50. I think that will fix the inconsistent damage and just the damage of Brellas in general, making them all actually consistent have consistent kill times. That was a good try, sorry. I'm not sure Tint needs a damage buff. I think Tint is a solid weapon. I do think it probably needs a better kit, maybe. Actually, no. I think Sorella is completely fine. Ink Mine and Trizuka is fine for it. And right now, Sorella Tina is one of the best weapons in the game, or at least the best Brella in the game, not the best weapon in the game. Almost mess it up. But I think the damage would be nice for it to have if it does ever get hit markers, or it does not one-shot people. Because a maximum of 68 is, it's not bad. Most of the time, this thing is a 2-shot anyway because of its slow fire rate. But as you can see there, sometimes it can't be a 3-shot, which makes it still inconsistent. But I think overall, Tint is okay. I think giving it a bit more damage will be fine. But as a whole, yeah, make this thing have more damage and decrease, please, for the love of God. Maybe just not by a lot, but slightly decrease the ink consumption of this weapon. Brella already has an ink hungry sub such as Sprinkler that doesn't do a lot for it, and the weapon having 200p doesn't really allow it to get a lot, especially with Sprinkler's decay. Yeah, it's not really very helpful for the weapon itself. So I think either making it so Sprinkler, just remove either the decay for Sprinkler, which I'm pretty sure they'll never do, because Sprinkler has had that since Splatoon 2, I don't think they're ever going to change that. Or make it so Brella is a bit less ink hungry, or uses less ink. Not saying it should buff it by a lot, or lower it by a lot, but I think decreasing that along with giving it a consistent amount of damage that it used to have, I think that in general will help Brella be a better class. Oh, and also definitely fixing the shield. Like, this is not excusable. This thing should not die using the main function or the main shift it was dead. Like, this thing being able to shield itself while shooting is the most complex thing we've had in this game. And it's why Brella was so healthy for the game in general, because this was supposed to be a shooter counter, and having it so most of the time it dies to shooters before it can even get its shield out is not good for the game whatsoever. So, yeah, it's not good for it in general. It's very stupid. It is very dumb. But, yeah, that's my thought on Undercover. I really hope this thing gets the buffs it needs. I am praying to God it does get the buffs that it needs. If it doesn't, then yeah, bro, this is probably going to be the worst class in this game. I'm going to have hope, and I want to have hope, because they are capable of fixing this thing. They are definitely capable of fixing this class. But if they don't, then Tenebrae is probably going to be the only thing we ever have in this game that is decent. And maybe Sorella Brella, occasionally, will be probably at best a mid-tier, like Sorella 10 is. Or Sorella 10 just being a low-high tier. Which, that weapon just carries itself its own way by its kit and the main weapon. But, yeah, Brella class in general just needs to be buffed. And all we can do really is just hope that it does get buffed. It probably won't, but it'd be nice for the weapon. So let's hope to God that they just buff this weapon class and they actually make it profusing. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll try to upload content more often this year. Hopefully, please, dear God, if I have time, I will definitely get back on track of content on my channel. I'll try to make it better. Alright.